Welcome everyone. This is Ranjani Rangan and here with you for another Wednesday webinar from CharmHealth. This webinar today is all about how to optimize supplement prescribing with the Fullscript integration. And I just love the sound of this title. It has this ring to it. I just want to add that we've had webinars with Fullscript several years now, and since integration, it's been, I believe, Hala mentioned, I spoke with Hala just this morning, and we calculated 5 years, and I believe we were the first EHRs to have integrated with Fullscript. So great to have this partnership, and it was wonderful to see all of the interested people for this webinar, and Fullscript continues to show, get our users excited. A little bit about Fullscript. Fullscript is an online platform that provides healthcare practitioners and patients with easy access to professional grade supplements with natural health products. It offers an extensive catalog of high quality supplements from trusted brands, which can be prescribed by healthcare practitioners and delivered directly to the patient's door. Fullscript also features tools to streamline the supplement dispensing process, such as easy online ordering, automatic refill, reminders, customizable treatment plans. It provides practitioners with easy access to patient compliance and adherence. Today we'll have several people presenting, and in order to introduce those, I am going to pass it on to Dr. Glad, who is our Fullscript's chief medical officer. Is that correct, Dr. Glad?
And it is.
All right. So you guys, all of our registrants and attendees, please sit back, relax, and get ready to learn. We have a dedicated Fullscript team with an amazing presentation and very detailed. So if you need to take notes, please do. And they're here to answer all of your questions. We do ask your questions in the Q&A section. We'll leave the chat for our Fullscript team to put in links. And we hope this webinar will provide you with valuable insights to improve your experience and supplement dispensing. With that, and without further ado, I will pass it on to Dr. Glad. Dr. Glad, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for doing most of our talk in terms of all of the benefits of Fullscript and how powerful this integration can be. Yeah, wait for the slides to queue up. Awesome. So we're going to talk about how we take all of that Fullscript does and offers in this integration with Charm to optimize your supplement prescribing in this platform. Can I go next slide, please? So I have the honor of having a giant, awesome team with me today, all covering different aspects of this integration. So I, as mentioned, I'm the Chief Medical Officer at Fullscript. I'll do a little bio here in a couple slides. Each other member will give a little background of themselves. Dr. Keller is on board as well. Dr. Natacha and Hala is here, who will be doing a demo at the end to kind of really show you what this looks like in action. We'll go to the next slide and talk about the overview of what we're going to talk about. So we're going to cover just the basics, a little more in depth about what Fullscript is and how we've grown both, ourselves as a platform, but also in terms of the integration. Because as mentioned, we've had this integration for some time. We continue to iterate on it and listen to the practitioners like you who are using this. How can we make it better? How can we make your lives easier? We'll spend some time talking about us being the solution in supplement quality, right? Big topic. If you've seen the news, you've seen the headlines. Hopefully, you've heard from patients that this is a concern. Talk about how we've solved that or help you solve that. How we are a solution in treatment planning and delivery, right? Helping both of those aspects, which are really important to enhancing your care and enhancing the health of your patients. And then we'll talk about, we'll do the integration demo with Hala to show you what this actually looks like live time. So next slide, just sort of as a title, what is Fullscript? Again, we've given a bit of that background, but if you go to the next slide, my background is trained as a family medicine practitioner. One slide previous, there we go. So I was a family doc, trained very conventionally, practiced in a small town, 40 patients a day, delivering babies, doing GI procedures in the small hospital. and had my own personal health transformation where realized I was bordering on obesity. If I knew what pre-diabetic was at the time, I would have been that too. And so committed myself to a focus on improving nutrition, which sort of became this gigantic clinical transformation for me in terms of, losing 50 pounds, getting off of medication for panic attacks, and sort of wanting to understand nutrition more, since I didn't get it like most of us in our medical training. So went to the 2-year fellowship under Andrew Weil in Arizona and started a hospital-based integrative medicine practice. Left that after a couple years, realizing sort of the burden in terms of how my practice was functioning with working with insurance, and started GladMD, which is a consultative integrative practice in Northeast Indiana, where I continue to practice and live today. But I've also been the chief medical officer at Fullscript, now full-time for the last 1.5 years. So spend most of my time as chief medical officer here at Fullscript, and still do some clinical care a couple half days a week. My initial foray into Fullscript was I built the Vitamin calculator, if anybody's familiar with that. Dr. Natacha will be talking about that a little bit as a tool that practitioners can use to put in the medications their patients are on, help the patient understand what nutrients may be deficient as a starting point for evidence-based supplementation for that patient. So enough about me. Let's go to the next slide and talk about the star here, which is the Fullscript platform. We are a platform that is free to practitioners, giving them a place to prescribe, dispense, and manage healthcare's best supplements. In addition to that, personalized tools that support and inspire better patient engagement. So, where originally we may have been more of a shopping cart or a store for your patients to buy high quality supplements, we are now an entire platform. And we've really taken that prescribing, dispensing, and managing part to heart with some of the tools you'll see today. Our adherence efforts, and wrote a paper on treatments adherent rates as a company, implementing that into our platform. How can we help your patients understand their plan, adhere to their plan, and now tools to help maintain their plan? So really excited to talk about all those features. Next slide, please. So we've built a world-class experience for both you as the provider and your patients. We keep both of those pieces in mind. Our design and product teams are constantly trying to iterate on how do we have a better experience both for the provider and for the patient. So on your side, you see on the left, you see the ease of creating a patient, which is even easier with an integration because we've got that interface with the Athena Health platform, and then having the ease to be able to choose ingredients, doses, or protocols of multiple products that either you utilize from our integrative medical advisory team or protocols that you've built. You also have, the ability to add professionally authored content from our medical team to attach education and handouts to those recommendations. If you have handouts that you've built or designed and you prefer to use, you've got the ability to upload those and use those to share with your patients as well. On the right side, you see the patient perspective. Ease of signing up on any device, allowing them to accept their treatment plan and utilizing a one-click checkout. And after that, both of you rely on us to provide the delivery, the auto ship options, longer-term supplement plans, and additional tools like refill reminders, again, to keep that patient on that long-term supplement journey. Next slide. So as practitioners, 3 of the 4 of us presenting today are practicing. We understand new technologies often means more work, right? Another window, another screen, more time. So we built that into the platform to try to create a streamlined workflow that focuses on efficiency as well as increased visibility to understand your workflow. And so here's the 3 main areas as part of this integration and this platform to help you, clean up that workflow concern. So number 1, we sync patients between the platforms, reducing that admin burden. We also make it easy to access our bread and butter, the treatment plan writing tool. This is one of the, your first embedded apps. Providers can now leverage our award-winning tool to recommend the highest quality supplements as well as lifestyle products without leaving your Athena or your Charm platform. We also push back to the encounter plan section and supplement section, what was recommended, to give you that holistic view of all of your supplement recommendations. Next slide. And again, we've taken feedback from the Charm users who have been on this integration over the last several years, and we've delivered on iterations since 2018. The updates that have recently been put in the platform allow you to utilize supplier suggested dosage instructions as well as filtered searches, all meant to improve the workflow and help optimize your supplement prescribing tools. You can get a little bit of a window here. If you have a specific patient who has allergens that are concerning to you and they need to be out of the supplements you're recommending, you're able to filter that. If there are certain third-party certifications like NSF that you feel really strongly about, and you should, when we talk about the quality aspects of the products in the platform, you're able to filter that piece too. So it gives you a lot of power here just within the integration to be able to choose those supplements that you prefer. Next slide. So as mentioned, you're going to get a demo here of what this platform looks like at the end of the section. It's going to dive into more detail on all of these points. But ultimately, the provider benefit of using the Fullscript platform is the largest catalog of quality products. 20,000 plus SKUs from over 450 high quality brands that our team has vetted to make sure meet those quality standards that you should have when you make recommendations for your patients. Talked about the integration, alleviating that fatigue and burnout that so often happens when you add new technologies to your practice. There's an option to earn. So as a provider, you have the option to earn revenue to support your practice. You can pass some of that margin savings off to the patient or come up with a blend of both, which is what most practitioners end up doing. Fullscript from the adherence side is providing effective tools to boost and support your patient outcomes with text messaging, refill reminders, automated refills, auto ship capabilities. All those we're seeing enhance the adherence of your patient to their supplement program. We have decision support, the Fullscript tool. We've got a knowledge center supporting your education and understanding of the evidence behind supplementation, also helping your patients on that side too. And last, but certainly not least, is world-class support. So our team is committed to providing support both to you as the provider, as well as all of your patients for the lifetime of your account. So before we get to that demo at the end, I'm going to pass it here to Dr. Keller, who's going to talk about supplement quality and the Fullscript quality program, and then Dr. Natacha will follow him.
Hi, everyone. So as Dr. Glad mentioned, I'm Alex Keller. I'm the medical director at Fullscript. And I don't have as long of an intro as he does because my story isn't nearly as interesting or exciting. But I think what's relevant before I jump into the topic of quality is, as a practicing ND, there's one aspect of being very immersed in all things quality, as I'm sure most of you are. But I also run an organic farm on the side, and I have an MBA with a specialization in supply chain logistics and standards. So this topic is very near and dear to my heart, and I hope by the end of this brief presentation that it is for you as well, because it's a very important one as it relates to the supplement supply chain. Next slide, please. Oh, nice effect there as well. I think we've all heard by now some of these scary stories as it relates to counterfeit products, adulteration, purity issues, all these things. So we don't need to touch on this too much, but one thing that I really like to make clear when we talk about quality, that it all comes back to is safety and efficacy. Whether you're a clinician, a patient, or just a consumer purchasing supplements, everyone has the same interest. They want the product to be safe and they want the product to be effective. Otherwise, it's more or less either dangerous or a waste of money. So we can look at some of these troubling stories in the news and say, quality is a big factor. But when it comes down to safety and efficacy, it's usually much easier to frame in that way for people to understand it. And then we can start to dissect what exactly that means. Next slide, please. So before we dissect it, I do want to point out two key things that are specific to the supplement industry that are critical to the quality story and the quality picture. First of all, many people don't know that prior to the DSHEA regulatory system being put in place for supplements in 1994, there was very little regulation around this industry. And after 1994, what happened was, as part of that regulatory framework, any product that had been considered a supplement prior to 1994 was essentially facilitated into this existing ingredient pathway, which you see here on the bottom of this infographic. If a product was previously a supplement, or I should say more specifically, if an ingredient was previously considered a supplement, then any product now coming to market that contains that ingredient can bypass any pre-vetting needed for it to go to market. And the auditing that happens, whether that's label claims or manufacturing standards, all happens after the fact in most cases. So there's a potential, and we see it, for products to flood the market that have not been properly vetted. And so that's right away one major fact that we need to be very clear on with ourselves and with our patients, that when you go out and purchase supplements in an uncontrolled environment, you don't often know what you're getting. There's a lot of checks and balances that need to be in place to confirm that you're getting a clinically relevant and safe product. If it's a new ingredient as of 1994, so if it was something that was deemed not to have been used in a supplement prior to that date, then it goes through the pre-vetting process. And so when you have new innovative ingredients coming to market, those products are typically very well vetted before they get to market. And that part of the industry is great. But the majority has this potential for the lack of pre-vetting before it gets to market. So that's the first point I want to make. And then if we could go to the next slide. The journey for the supplement product is much more extensive than, let's say, for comparison's sake, the pharmaceutical product may be. So a lot of people will think of, well, it's just a pill in a bottle, like the drug that I'm taking. Completely different. The factors involved in manufacturing a supplement product are innumerable compared to what's typically a synthetic process as it relates to pharmaceuticals. So you can see here just the top of the diagram here, soil quality, feed quality if it's an animal product, the climate in which these products are grown, the social impact if that's something relevant to you. All of these factors are the starting point in terms of where the origin of the ingredients come from. And then from there, how are they extracted? How are they manipulated? How are they handled until they get to the point of manufacturing? And then how are they manufactured after that? There's so much potential for contamination, adulteration, lack of purity, and then not even to touch on post-manufacturing, but also the labeling issues that come into play as well. So lots of factors to consider with the supplement journey, from, let's say, soil to bottle, and everything in between that you don't get in a comparable pharmaceutical industry. Next slide, please. We've tried to sum this up into one quick view here, which we call the anatomy of the supplement. And there's really 4 key categories to consider: sourcing, manufacturing, testing, and distribution. If all of these are sound, and you can kind of imagine a bubble around this, that the evidence is sound as well, that the product is being taken for what you actually want to drive as an outcome. If all of those checks are, or those boxes are checked, then you have an ideal product as it relates to quality. But as we'll go through here, again, there's a lot of nuances for each of these that we need to take into consideration. Next slide, please. So first up, sourcing. We touched on this here 2 slides ago, but as many of you are probably chefs or into whole food cooking, the quality of the recipe always has to do with the quality of the ingredients. And so similarly in supplements, if the quality of the ingredients are not good, then you're ultimately going to have a poor quality supplement product at the end. So origin, often when you're dealing with natural products, is absolutely critical. Do you know, or does the manufacturer know, where these ingredients are coming from? And what a lot of people also don't know is that there's tons of intermediary steps between the original source and the ultimate manufacturing of the product that could cause issues along the way. So the more you know about the history and the origin of that product, the better. And you have to rely on the manufacturers to do that kind of work. But as we'll talk about in a moment, testing will also help to confirm that. Next slide. Next up is manufacturing. So once you've sourced the highest quality ingredients and you know where those are coming from, then you have to put those products together. And there's multiple steps involved in the manufacturing. There's the receiving of the raw materials and putting them in the right places within the manufacturing process. There's the process itself, and then there's the finished product handling after the fact. All of these steps within the manufacturing allow for the potential of contamination, disruption, destabilization of the ingredients. So knowing with assurances that the manufacturers are taking into account all of these steps is again critical. And what I'm trying to highlight is that you more or less need to know your partners that you're working with really in depth in this industry. And this slide, I think, highlights that, because even when you have the raw materials sourced well, if you're not manufacturing the product properly, there's absolutely high risk for contamination problems that we need to take into account. Next slide. Next up is testing. And look at the first point here, just to put in perspective what it's like in the industry if you don't have proper checks and balances. The FDA requires companies to conduct identity testing. However, these standards can be chosen and developed by the companies themselves with no obligation to publicize their standards. See, basically what that means is there can be smoke and mirrors as it relates to the quality standards that a manufacturer applies, but they don't need to prove to you that they're actually doing these things. The only way you really know is if you have trusted parties like third-party certification groups going in and doing those audits on your behalf. And that's what Dr. Glad mentioned with regards to NSF certification being one example of those third-party groups. We also do auditing, and I'll talk in a moment about what that looks like. And last of the supplement anatomy points here is distribution. So you can see here that with regards to distribution after the product has been manufactured, there are numerous different possibilities, again, of issues arising. And so you have to make sure that from the point of completion of manufacturing to handling of the finished product, warehousing, ultimate distribution, and then all the steps that may happen in between until it arrives either at your door at the clinic or at the patient's door at their home. There's numerous factors to consider, all of which we are trying to stay on top of as well. Moving to the next slide. Here's a quick summary of all the things that we do to address these concerns. So I'm moving pretty quickly here. We have other presentations that go into much greater depth on some of these topics if you're interested, but I'll transition now into what are the solutions that we've come up with to address the problems that we've just highlighted. So first of all, the first step that we do is that we have direct relationships with our manufacturers. So we are a distribution facility, but we have multiple distribution facilities on which our platform sits. And so when you prescribe a product to your patients, those products are coming from our distribution facilities where we've sourced the products from the manufacturers directly and housed them there. So that way we know exactly where the products are coming from. There's no intermediary between the finished product and our warehouses. It's directly from the manufacturer. Then on top of that, we have our own third-party certification, that's NSF, of each of our distribution facilities to ensure that we're handling the products properly, that there's factors in place like refrigeration if necessary, that staff are trained properly. All of those things are very important whenever you're dealing with distribution. So we have third-party certification on top of that to provide extra assurances. When we're dealing with manufacturing partners, we have primary rigorous onboarding standards for all manufacturers where we audit them to ensure that they have current good manufacturing practices. That's the CGMP that FDA requires. So even if it is a product that maybe hasn't been audited by the FDA, which is never the case in our case, but even if that were a factor, we would be auditing to ensure that they've been audited for CGMPs before they even end up in our catalog. So we have baseline standards for all of our partners. And then we go above and beyond that with a quality program that's voluntary for our partners to participate in. There's no cost associated to that. And for them to participate, they have to be subjected to an audit by us, an on-site facility audit, as well as quarterly product testing to provide additional assurances that they are going above and beyond when it comes to quality standards. On top of this, we provide education content both for you, the clinicians, as well as your patients. We have numerous filters in our catalog that allow you to personalize for specific quality factors. And then we also offer alternative product selection if, for instance, you've selected the best, highest quality product, and then it's not available for whatever reason. There are always alternatives that we suggest to make sure that there's redundancy and there's no disruption in care. Next slide, please. Quick overview of our quality program. This is that voluntary program that I mentioned that manufacturers can participate in. So we have the baseline standard that every manufacturer has to go through, which we call the qualified supplier. And then there's the silver and the gold partners. So again, a manufacturing partner of ours may subject themselves to being scrutinized by our quality team to see if they are silver or gold. And then we maintain that standard and provide a badging within our catalog for you, the clinician, to be able to say, that's a product or that's a brand that we know is going above and beyond when it comes to quality assurances. So these are some of the details here in summary form of what silver and gold means. But if you want more information on that, we can provide that. And we have a separate course all about just this. Next slide, please. Like I mentioned, we also have quality filters. So, when we talk about quality, as I mentioned earlier, it's not always just about manufacturing. It's also about the bigger picture as it relates to evidence. So if, for instance, you're looking for a particular outcome, like an anti-inflammatory effect, and you would like to use curcumin for that anti-inflammatory effect, you ideally should be using a curcumin that's in a specific form at a specific dosage for a specific duration to get the effect that you're looking for. Our filters allow you to select for exactly that kind of form, that kind of dosage, so that you can find the exact product that you need for that outcome. So quality can be in the form of allergens and manufacturing details, or it can be in the form of evidence and outcome details. Whatever it is, the filters that we have should accommodate your needs. I also want to provide this as an overview. This is an example of the kinds of resources that we provide that you can use to educate your patients on how to discern or how to scrutinize a supplement label, and provides them again with assurances that A, the products that are in Fullscript are of the highest quality and following all of these label requirements, and B, to have awareness that if they're ever out shopping for products elsewhere, that there's oftentimes all sorts of issues that you need to look out for. For instance, I live up in Canada, and just recently I found products that were not licensed for use in Canada on the shelves of a major grocery chain up here in Canada. And I had to ask myself, how is it that these products got into the major grocery chain without going through the proper checks and balances that we require in Canada? It happens. And so better off educating your patients so that they know what to look for. And then it also provides them awareness that once you leave an ecosystem like Fullscript, there's far less assurances that you're getting what you're looking for. Just to wrap up, some additional resources that we have, like I said, both for providers, yourselves, as well as your patients. We'll provide these afterwards in the notes, but we have a lot of resources on the next slide. You can move over. You'll see that we also provide training, if you'd like additional training on the specifics as it relates to supplements or on the quality details specifically, so that you feel more comfortable and well-versed when discussing these factors with your patients. So now I'll leave it at that and pass it on to Dr. Natacha.
Thank you very much, Dr. Keller. All right. So yes, hopefully by now you feel pretty confident on our platform, our quality standards. As Dr. Keller mentioned, we're going to talk about treatment planning and delivery tools that Fullscript offers. So let's start with some evidence-based treatment planning tools. So Midavin, as Dr. Glad mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, so it is a nutrient depletion tool that can help you, practitioner, identify any nutrients that might be at risk of depletions due to medications. So if you look at the little video animation on the left-hand side, you could put in one medication or multiple medications simultaneously. And this is going to bring up a list of nutrients that might be at risk of depletion. And if you want to learn more about those depletions, everything is hyperlinked to the original source. So you can really see where we are sourcing our evidence. And also using Midavin is a really great place to start if you are unsure as to where you want to start recommending supplements to your patients. So a great way could be to put your patients' medications in Midavin, see what nutrients are at risk, and then recommending the products appropriate to help prevent or even correct any deficiencies they may be experiencing. The second treatment planning tool we'll discuss are practitioner resources. Now, Dr. Keller already mentioned some of these, but we have over 170 evidence-based practitioner resources, which were all developed by our medical advisory team. And on this slide, I've just highlighted some of our drug-nutrient interaction. We have some white papers and some handouts, as this is often an area of concern, especially for new practitioners who are recommending supplements to patients who are taking pharmaceutical medications. Now, as it was kind of mentioned earlier, we can provide these resources in the slide deck itself, which will be provided at a later date All of these images have been hyperlinked, but we can also provide those in the chat if people want to have those links in the chat. But we do have all these resources available, and they're also available in Fullscript Academy, which I will talk about in just one moment, but you can find those resources there as well. The next treatment planning tool are protocols, which is probably one of our most popular features. We have over 40 evidence-based protocols, and each protocol has about 5 ingredients. Some have a fewer ingredients, but we list the supportive evidence for each of those ingredients. So you can see on the left-hand side for vitamin C, all of the evidence that's supporting why we're recommending vitamin C for this particular protocol. In the evidence, we also indicate the magnitude of effect that was described in the research, the dosing recommendations, and also any safety information that you should know. Now, the protocols do contain pre-selected products. Now, because of this, you can apply the protocol directly to your treatment plan, which really saves a lot of time. But you can also modify your protocol, the Fullscript protocol, in many different aspects. So you can remove products, add products, change brands, and even add any type of handouts to your protocols as well. And the protocols can also be shared with multiple patients simultaneously. So not just directly into a treatment plan, but many patients. So if you do the one-to-many care, that can also be a great way to facilitate this process. And one of the big benefits of using protocols is that it really reduces the amount of time you spend researching ingredients and also researching the product that corresponds to that particular ingredient. And so you can directly apply that to your treatment plans and save a lot of time. Now, once you've selected the necessary ingredients, the catalog search function and the treatment plan tool can really help you facilitate the process of finding and also prescribing your products with ease. Now, Dr. Keller did mention those filters, so I'll just kind of rename a few of those filters, but you can filter your search according to desired or unwanted dietary ingredients or allergens, if there's a preferred supplement brand you prefer working with, or if there's a form, so if you prefer liquids or chewables or tablets. You can also filter according to health condition. If you're wanting to know what is the most popular magnesium calcium product, you can also select that filter and see what your colleagues are recommending, which brands they're using. And you can also filter according to price point. Now, all of these different search function, or rather filter functions, help you to find the perfect product for your patients. And once you've selected the perfect or the correct or the right product for your patients, you can use the dosing methodology that's recommended by the supplier, or you can customize your recommendations within the treatment plan tool. And we'll talk about a little bit later why this is a really great feature of adding that, basically the dosing for your products. I won't spend too much time on this. Dr. Keller already mentioned we have Fullscript Academy. So this is essentially, it was designed to help practitioners upskill their clinical and practice management skills. So we've partnered with top academic leaders in integrative medicine to provide over 20 courses. And some of these courses are CE or CME eligible. Now, these courses are actually courses that we've put together at Fullscript based on the research we've conducted on these specific topics. Okay, now let's move on to treatment delivery and some of the tools that Fullscript has put together to really help enhance treatment adherence. So first we have the reminder refills. Now this is where I mentioned before the dosing methodology, or putting the dosing recommendations in the treatment plan, is really helpful. So with that information, we have these refill reminders which are sent automatically to patients based on the calculation of the dosing or the duration that was put in the treatment plan. So it's just kind of an automatic reminder for patients to go back into the platform and put in a new order so that we can remain adherent and that there's no gaps in their treatment. We do also have one step above that, auto ship. So this is a personalized refilling experience and eliminates the patient's need to return to the platform to put in their order. So it automatically is ordered for them. And auto ship is also completely customizable, meaning that a patient can have their calcium magnesium ship every 2 months, and then maybe have their adaptogenic formulation ship every 3 months, depending on how long those particular products last. And on the right-hand side, we have the adherence or insights dashboard, which provides you with statistics on the percentage of your patients signing up to your online dispensary, the filling rates, and also the refill rates. And then within this dashboard, you can find the adherence surveys. Now, this is a 1-question survey that's automatically sent to patients who have not fulfilled their treatment plan within 7 days of having received it. And the survey simply asks patients why they haven't fulfilled their treatment plan yet. And we've provided different options as answers based on the research we've done on treatment adherence. So possible answers include there's an issue with cost, they're feeling overwhelmed about the treatment plan, maybe they're purchasing their supplements elsewhere, they may be uncertain about the treatment plan in general, or maybe they're planning on purchasing the supplements, they just haven't done so quite yet. So the qualitative and quantitative data that you get from this the insights dashboard can really help you build engaging strategies with your patients if that's what the dashboard reveals that needs to be done. Now, some additional treatment adherence and behavioral change tools. So we have a large selection of evidence-based practitioner resources to better support treatment adherence and behavioral change. And again, here I've just highlighted some resources that we have, different questionnaires, tracking sheets, handouts. And again, you can find these ones you can find in our resource library, which I'll talk about in just on the next slide. Right here. So I'm going to talk about the resource library in just one moment, but a critical part of optimizing patient adherence and patient outcomes is providing patients with education. However, you may have encountered this, curating or creating evidence-based health literacy-friendly resources can be very time-consuming. So to solve this issue, Fullscript has created over 160 evidence-based, beautifully designed patient resources. And we have different types. So there's infographics, there's handouts, there's longer guides, we have tracking sheets, we have recipe books, and even meal plans. And you could download these resources from Fullscript. So this is where they are found in the resource library along with the practitioner resources. So you can download these, you can print them out, give them to your patient, you can attach them to emails, you can even upload them to Charm and have that part of your treatment plan. And so this can help with treatment adherence, behavioral change, health literacy, and ultimately improve your patient's outcomes. That's kind of the goal for these resources. And here's just a sample of various resources here. We have some guides and handouts and even some tracking sheets. These are based kind of more on gastrointestinal health. But again, we have many resources that you can use, that you can attach to your protocols and just add to your treatment plans. And now I'm going to pass it to Hala for a live demo. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen.
Thanks, Natasha. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to be sharing my screen shortly and really taking what we have been presented with today from all our doctors and showing it in action in Charm, or how to facilitate moving some things from Fullscript to your Charm account. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, before I go into exactly how you can apply all of these tools into Charm, I'm just going to quickly showcase where you can activate your Charm integration if you haven't done so already. So in your Charm account, I have my demo account here. Simply go on to your settings section, and you'll be able to find a Fullscript widget. And this is where you can activate your Fullscript account. So if you don't have an account with Fullscript yet, this is also where you can sign up for one. So built into your Charm application, you can go ahead and sign up for a free Fullscript account. As Dr. Khalad mentioned, it is a free service. Once you've connected your account, so within the prompts, you will log in or sign up for the account. And from within that, you'll then just match your member in Charm. So if you are a one provider clinic in Charm, simply match it to your one provider account on Fullscript. And if you have multiple providers, all you'll need to do is match them once and associate, and pretty much you're good to go. All of the providers will have access to Fullscript in their Charm account. They'll be able to recommend the supplements, search for these products within the Charm integration seamlessly. So with that, let's go ahead and play this in action with some of our patients. There we go. So there's a ton of ways that you can get into the Fullscript module from within Charm. Maybe you like to do it from within an encounter, maybe within an appointment or a task or a quick RX. Regardless, it will all function very similarly, or exactly the same, I should say. So I'm going to do it from within an encounter. I find that that is the most popular method for providers utilizing Charm. But again, you could do so however you want. And I'm going to do a SOAP template, which allows me to have a plan section. And then within my plan section, there's obviously a supplement section. So Charm, built a beautiful workflow that allows you to quickly access your plan and what it is that you intend to prescribe to your patients. And from within, you're able to then access the Fullscript supplement section from within the supplement section here. So I wanted to showcase very quickly a couple of things that Dr. Keller and Dr. Natacha mentioned, first of which are these filters. So we talked a lot about these filters. They're easily accessible from within the Charm integration over here. And we talked in much detail about the third-party certifications. So Dr. Keller was mentioning that these are the certifications that you might want to care about regarding quality. They're easily accessible to you within the Charm integration. So in the case of, searching for the right product for your patients, say you're looking for a probiotic, you are able to search that type. If you care for a probiotic to have, or in this case, not have certain allergens and have a specific certification, you're able to quickly do so and thus then have all the results available. You're also able to filter by brand. You're able to search for the name of the product, should you choose to kind of filter in more detail. And then whenever you do click on a specific item, all of the research and all of the product details are included in the Charm integration. So that's the quick read for you. And a really exciting update is that instead of you having to manually add the supplier suggested dosing instructions or any dosing instructions here, you can click on this little triangle and actually fill in the supplier suggested instructions. It kind of pre-fills it because Fullscript actually manually curates all of their products and the catalog and includes the supplier suggested instructions. So that's readily available. Obviously, that can be changed as you see fit for your patient. And from there, I'm going to go ahead and click Add. Another thing that Dr. Natacha mentioned are these protocols. So we talked a lot about these Fullscript protocols. Now, they are easily accessible to you within Charm. They're called templates. So as you can see, when I load up the Fullscript module in Charm, it asks me, do you want to load my templates or my categories? So if you were to load up your templates, that's actually seeking or listening to your Fullscript account and trying to find any of your protocols there. Now, a very quick trick to load the Fullscript protocols into your protocols is if you're logged into Fullscript, and I'm going to quickly just go into Fullscript here. This is my Fullscript account. If I go to the protocols and go to the Fullscript protocols, I can easily copy any of these protocols into my protocols. This is what will allow them to show up in your Charm account seamlessly. And as Dr. Natacha was saying, you can also make changes to any of these protocols. So these are the Fullscript specific protocols for, let's say, Spring Health. You can make any changes to these protocols or leave them as is and make any changes obviously within Charm. So over here, I preloaded that protocol in my Fullscript account, and now I have access to it in Charm. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Spring Health 2023 copy. And to apply this to my patient's plan, all I have to do is click on this link, this checkbox, and simply add. A little tidbit, you can actually, with one click of a button, add and transmit to Fullscript, and that will effectively send the patients an email to have them purchase these items. But I'm going to go ahead and add for now, just to showcase a couple of other things within this integration. So another thing that Dr. Natacha mentioned are these handouts. These are easily downloadable from your Fullscript account and can be attached to your Charm plan directly. And then finally, you are always able to access other elements of your Fullscript account, such as your categories. So if you have created these, or at a time that you're maybe browsing your Fullscript account, if you create your categories for specific products, you're always able to go into these categories within Charm and recommend the items there. That's pretty much all I wanted to highlight within the integration. It is currently and always being reiterated and worked on. So if there is feedback about this integration or specific functionality or tool that you've seen on the Fullscript platform that you'd like to see in the Charm integration, by all means, let us know. We're always working with the Charm developers to facilitate a better workflow for you. Once this is ready to go, all you'll need to do is click Transmit to Fullscript. Make sure you've selected all the products that you do want to transmit. And I just wanted to highlight that within your integration, you can actually also apply your patient discounts. So I'm not going to get too much into the weeds there, but there is a margin for you on Fullscript, and you are able to obviously choose not to have any margin, or you're able to use portions or all of your margin in the form of a discount, all built into the integration. And then once this is ready to go, simply click send. It's queued. Within 5 to 10 seconds, it will be transmitted. And what that means is that your Fullscript account will have this recommendation tied to your patient. So you no longer needed to, open up a new tab, load up your patient in Fullscript. It's all built into the existing workflow. They'll get an email. They might get a text message if you've added their phone number in Charm, because that gets translated or transmitted to Fullscript as well. And they'll go ahead and place their order for their supplements. Now, any of the other functionality, for example, that adherence tool, can be accessed within your Fullscript account. So you're always able to log back into your Fullscript account. It functions fully and completely and complements your Charm integration. So you're always able to log back in to look at your insights for your treatment plans, the ones from Charm, and as well as that resource library that Dr. Natacha was talking about. And with that, I conclude the demo, and I'm available to answer any questions, as well as obviously our team. It looks like we do have some questions here. I can start taking them on really quickly. Some of these could be really on the kind of technical side, so I could go ahead and answer them, or offer them up to our team of doctors here. When can we have one email address for multiple patient accounts? Dr. Aaron, thank you for that question. That's definitely something that we at Fullscript are considering. So this concept of, guardian accounts or one email record being attached to multiple patients. And I understand that's a very important tool for you utilizing Charm as you might be seeing families. So that's definitely something that we have considered and is on our roadmap to kind of fix. And once done, that could then be translated to the Charm integration very quickly. Do we offer one-on-one training? We do offer demos. So for doctors asking for one-on-one training, I'm going to link our demo system. So you can book a demo with any of our account managers. They'll be happy to walk you through Fullscript. They're also happy to walk you through some of the resources and tons of tools that our doctors showcased. And then there's that Fullscript Academy for more education on supplementation and CME, non-CME courses. There's a question here about how do we learn about the certifications for the supplements? Maybe this is Dr. Keller.
Yeah, happy to jump in there. So I'd say if you want the most comprehensive overview, you're probably best off taking our Fullscript Academy course on quality, where we dive into much further detail. We also have a guide. Dr. Natacha, if you can confirm, have we completed the guide on certifications? Is that published and ready to go? Or it's underway? So we have a guide in the works that's going to detail some of the most prominent certifications that give you kind of a deeper overview of what each one is. I do believe we have a blog article. I'm going to dig it up here while we keep chatting and see if I can post it in the chat here, where we touch on some of those most prominent ones at a high level, and you can at least get that perspective. But if you start with a course in the FS Academy, and then we'll provide you some resources, that's probably a great starting point for now.
There's a couple of more technical ones that I'll take on. So adding supplement prescriptions outside of an encounter requires that supplements be added and transmitted individually. Can Charm increase functionality so that multiple supplements be transmitted at once, as occurs in an encounter? Thank you so much for the feedback, Laura. Definitely something I will pass on to our developers from the Charm team, myself and Ranjini as well. We do have a question, maybe Dr. Glad, is there a patient-facing e-commerce like store that they can choose and purchase the supplements and links to their accounts? Definitely, we do have that patient-facing account. Dr. Glad, if you can kind of speak to that patient account a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So as the practitioner, you can decide whether you have a closed catalog and there's only a limited number of supplements that you're comfortable with your patients purchasing. Most of us basically open up the whole catalog knowing that it's full of quality products and allow our patients to sort of self-shop for things that they're looking for. Really valuable when they come in with a list of supplements that are of questionable quality, and I've walked them through kind of why that is. Then they go, and if I don't have time to kind of create the Fullscript prescription for them, give them the instructions to be able to go on to Fullscript when they get the notification about their account, and then they can go in and shop that catalog and be able to switch over to the high quality product. So that allows you to now sort of open up your catalog, and your patients have a much greater connection to the high quality supplements as part of your account.
There is one question here.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, do you have a Fullscript postcards that we can hand out to patients?
I think, and very quickly off the top of my head, we have some kind of templated marketing tools such as postcards and even email templates that you can find on our website and kind of print directly. We do find, though, that that one-on-one recommendation is what leads to the most adherence and conversion to wellness and orders. So in that case, utilizing that pad could be a very good complement to writing that recommendation. But yeah, you could go ahead.
Sorry to interject. I was just typing when that question was posed, but I just listed in the chat as well. There's a page on our website that's all about practice resources, and it provides a number of different samples for marketing or other means that you may require. We don't offer prescription pads, if that's what the question is, but we certainly offer numerous marketing assets they can use if you're looking for postcards or things that you want to have in your office and the likes.
Thanks, Dr. Keller. Yeah, that's the link I was looking for. Thank you.
There are a couple more questions here.
Go ahead.
What is your recommendation for increasing patient compliance and ordering?
Alex, that'd be a perfect one. You want to touch on the highlights of the treatment adherence report and what we came up with as best practices?
Yeah, I'll touch on some, and then I'd love to pass it over to Dr. Natacha, because she's been immersed in the behavior change and health literacy research for the past year. So just to quickly summarize, we've conducted 3 major studies in the last 3 years. The first on treatment adherence, and then that was followed up with behavior change and health literacy. the reason why we followed up with those two is because they came up as being two of the primary factors that we found in treatment adherence, where one, you have to be somewhat well versed in how to facilitate behavior change when delivering a treatment plan. And two, that health literacy or just understanding the treatment plan is absolutely critical to compliance and adherence in long term. The other major factor, I'd say there's two major factors that were identified in that report were cost. So if the treatment plan is too expensive, even for, let's say, the wealthiest audiences, there's still going to be some friction there potentially caused. So always keep costs in mind when developing a treatment plan. Focus on a tiered approach. We actually were just talking with an academic partner this morning about how medicine in general is right now shifting to tiering treatment planning, so that you can think about like tier 1, 2, and 3 and prioritize for the patient what's absolutely critical. And then the second factor is keep it simple. So kind of related to cost, keep it super simple so that you're not overwhelming the patient and maybe maximizing to 5 things that you recommend per treatment plan. So those are kind of the top level things. Is there anything you want to add, Dr. Natacha?
Yeah, to that, some of in addition to the projects, we've done a lot of surveys to gather that data. And some of the information that came out of that with behavioral change is like having that between visit contact with their practitioner. So having that kind of resource can be very helpful for behavioral change. And some patients have found also having some sort of like making a plan, goal setting, being a very useful tool for behavioral change. For health literacy, which also impacts behavioral change, which then impacts treatment adherence. There's a lot of recommendations that can be very helpful, but I'll maybe just summarize it to 2 things. We want to be mindful of the type of language when we're communicating with our patients. We want to use everyday common words, because sometimes if we want to be able to really empower patients with that knowledge and for them to be able to apply that knowledge. So sometimes we give them the knowledge, but it's hard to apply, which comes back to that simplification of the treatment plan and giving them the resources that they need to educate themselves and empower them to continue their journey to educate themselves. I believe we do have on Fullscript Academy a course on behavioral change and on treatment adherence. So if you do want to learn more about those strategies in depth, that would be definitely a place that I would recommend going and checking out. And I think also we have our white papers in the resources for on Fullscript Academy.
Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, team, the Fullscript team, for all of your contribution to this webinar. And I'm really glad that we were able to bring this on the Charm platform. And I look forward to working with you guys again. And thank you all attendees for attending, to making this a wonderful experience.